Paul Simons joins me now. He is the Deputy Executive Director of the International Energy Agency. Thank you so much, Paul, for taking the time. Now tell me, when we look at this comparative analysis that Duke University have done, how important is it for yourself, for OPEC, and for all of the players?
Well, I think it's very important. The IEA, one of the central pillars of the IEA since its inception in the 1970s, has been oil security and our ability to track oil markets effectively and professionally. So for all of this period, we have produced monthly oil analyses as well as annual and then long-term forecasts. And it's very useful to have this comparison of forecasts between the different agencies that take a look at the future. It's important for our market players to understand how the markets are functioning. It's important to take a look at the assumptions that we make about the factors, especially the investment factors that are going to be driving our ability to put oil in the marketplace and other fuels, and to make sure that there's energy security at reasonable prices going out into the future. So this work's very important.
Now, with regards to your outlooks and the outlooks from OPEC too, over the past and the many years, there have been sometimes quite big differences there, but we're beginning to see some similarities arise. And tell me a little bit about the changes that are now in place.
Well, I think if you look at the OPEC baseline scenario and the IEA new policy scenario, which is basically assuming that country pledges what countries plan to do with respect to their energy policy is carried out, they're quite similar. Both of our agencies are expecting that fossil fuels will play a role in the future, a continuing important role. In fact, even our most ambitious scenario, assuming that countries fulfill their commitments and go beyond their commitments at this COP climate change meeting, still assume that fossil fuels will be an important part of the future.
And again, when we look in the near term, demand last year, of course, was extremely good. It was a robust year, and again, OPEC and yourself looking at figures there. But we look ahead to 2016. You're not really expecting demand to be as robust in the year ahead, are you?
Well, demand will be down, but I mean, one of the real issues that I think has intrigued all of the market players has been what's going to happen with supply. And so the picture that we saw in 2015, the robustness of the tight oil, the light tight oil in the United States, the fact that despite the fact that prices were going down, that new oil was still coming on the marketplace, I think is a factor that we all need to take a close look at. How exactly does this fracking environment work? What are the incentives? How low can prices go in which the frackers are still able to get out there and put more oil on the marketplace? So I think that's another area for 2016, which actually we seem to share the view with OPEC in terms of the glide path for the decline in the fracked oil in the U.S.
Now, when we look at particularly the US, you're looking at non-OECD, a reduction in some demand coming from there.
Well, OECD demand in general we think has peaked. Now we had a little additional peak last year, but we do think that in the future the efficiency drive, especially in terms of oil, in terms of vehicles and transport, the annual improvements of efficiency will more than compensate for any additional vehicles that might be put on the road. So in general, we do see a secular downturn in terms of oil use in the OECD. Now, the big question is going to be, how do the developing world, how do they develop, how do they grow, what model are they going to adopt? And the model that they adopt will largely determine the future of global oil markets.
I know you're very busy and we need to let you head off too, but great to have you here too. And of course the IEF bringing together OPEC, non-OPEC, and bringing together a lot of industry here, a lot of players. How important is the role of the International Energy Forum as well for everybody in this market?
Oh, I think the IEF does a great job in terms of bringing all the players around the table to talk about oil in particular. I think oil is an area where the IEF has a particular value added, and so this is a very useful meeting.